We're halfway there, mafias are forming, and a ceasefire with the Frog Nation. All this and more on... I'm Luke, and this is TLDR, where we catch up on everything that's been happening in Bankless, and of course there'll be links down in the show notes if you want to do a deeper dive into any of these topics. Now before we start, I want to shout out our sponsor, ONJUNO, which is your friendly crypto checking account. You can turn your cash into crypto in seconds, get your paycheck in crypto, and get bonuses on spending and saving. All of it's really cool. Link in the show notes. Use code Bankless for $50 on Juno. So 2022 is coming pretty hot so far. Tensions are high, cowards are selling, sentiment is all over the place. I'm pretty sure that the Fed is plotting the apocalypse in their boardroom, Nancy Pelosi is buying 10-year treasury bonds, and the crypto and equity markets are continuing to correlate, which I think is dumb, but whatever. At Bankless, we've had our hands full fighting with the frogs and chatting with Vitalik. Vitalik recently released his Endgame article towards the end of last year, as well as some Twitter threads that excite me like nearly as much as they just like hurt my brain. We talked about the Ethereum roadmap, where we've come from, where we're going. Ethereum has implemented an upgrade to its monetary policy with EIP 1559, and it launched the Beacon Chain, which is a huge milestone for the transition to proof of stake, which should be landing this year with a successful merge on the horizon. There's sharding, statelessness, and a bunch of other really heavy topics, but the main takeaways are that we are about halfway there. But if we continue to knock off roadmap milestones, there is a light at the end of this already pretty decent tunnel.
Once all of these things are done, like, I will say this. If this is all done and then nothing else ever changes after that, then I'll be extremely happy.
We'll continue to scale out with rollups, which is a really exciting corner of the crypto space, as well as how rollups stack up against alternative layer ones. As usual, Vitalik's takes are measured, thoughtful, and really difficult to distill into one section of a 10-minute video, so just go watch it. Bankless HQ also found itself in a gnarly Twitter war with the Frog Nation, and this is not the first time Bankless and the Frogs have done battle, but a lot has changed since then. They're louder, definitely more organized, really passionate, and they have a leader, this guy, who is an absolute legend at rallying the troops and has built a tremendous amount of energy around the Wonderland, Time, Sushi, Ice, DeFi ecosystem, Mafia thing. The grassrootsy Viva la Revolucion attitude of this movement is not to be ignored or easily dismissed, and I think that's a lesson that we learned this week. So Ryan went on an absolute tear of kindness to patch things up, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Frog King on the podcast soon. I think that's coming up. It is my hope that the frogs back up their hustle with values and inclusivity. It is my worry that many of the frogs are simply mercenaries, but I'd love to be proven wrong, and I'm really excited about the upcoming episode. I think that the most actionable takeaway here is that DeFi mafias are becoming a thing, and that's what we talked a lot about when we covered the Faye-Rari merge. Joey Santoro from Faye and Jay Bhavnani from Rari joined forces later in 2021 and did this flirty governance dance to propose a merge between the two protocols, which received overwhelming support from the communities, and they are now merging into Tribe DAO. Jay calls this the verticalization of DeFi. So Faye brings currency and liquidity with its stablecoin protocol, as well as treasury-owned assets and what they call PCV, protocol controlled value, and Rari brings money markets for permissionless borrowing and lending. And when you bring these two ideas together, the idea is that you'll have an ecosystem with increased capital efficiency and aligned incentives across multiple, DeFi primitives.
We are in a very positive sum game, and I'm not going to discount that. But at the end of the day, it is also a very competitive industry, and I'm excited to see how each of the players evolve to try and win.
This is how businesses work IRL. Why not do mergers and aggregate resources for the sake of unity and efficiency? Well, you have questions of antitrust and decentralization arise, but I kind of think that these are tomorrow's issues. Today's focus is observing closely how all of this plays out. Frog Nation has a mafia, now Faye-Rari is building a mafia, and don't be surprised when we see more of these protocols aligning values and teaming up. So Jack Dorsey hates Web3, and he's been very clear about it. More specifically, he hates VCs, which is a bit strange coming from his VC-funded Web2 and semi-Web3 companies, But, I get the point. Centralized TradFi capital shouldn't be relied upon as a base layer of a decentralized economy. But I think he kind of gets it wrong here. In this meme, he's accusing the Ethereum ecosystem of dumping value into the hands of VCs while retail is left with the scraps. I liked this counter meme from our Market Monday newsletter. It shows that 1, Web 2 offers nothing for retail or for users except likes, dopamine addiction, cultural decay, all of the social dilemma problems that everyone's aware of but doesn't do anything about. And 2, Web3 does give value to the users, maybe not as much as we would hope, but a obvious and definite improvement on earlier systems. In other news, zkSync is one of Ethereum's most promising scaling solutions. It uses zkRollup technology, which I will simply define here as cryptography magic for now. Bridging, trading, NFTs, donating 250k on Gitcoin. All of this can be done cheap and fast using zkSync, and you can learn more in our tactic on that. We also dropped our predictions for 2022, and they're pretty hot. You should definitely check them out, and also grade our predictions from last year, which I think have held up pretty well. Unfortunately, I did not make the cut for the article, but I will add my predictions here because no one can stop me. Prediction number 1, ETH will flip in Bitcoin. Number 2, the AI singularity occurs. Number 3, nation states collapse. Number 4, Cowboys win the Super Bowl. Number 5, apocalypse, but I don't know if it's zombies, nuclear, climate, or aliens. Number 6, dawn of a new world order. And number 7, ETH hits 20k. I'm not sure why they didn't include my predictions, but oh well, that's Bankless's loss. We also launched the GMI Index alongside Index Co-op, and I am really excited about this. DeFi 2.0 was a huge theme and narrative of 2021, and I don't see that going anywhere. The idea is that you can get broad exposure to this new class of DeFi assets, which is a chaotic world for sure, but full of energy and potential. We have resources on each of the assets included in the index, and the projects encompass different primitives, communities, and value propositions. And for layer 0, we had CoopahTroopah on, Cooper Turley, and few people are more layer 0 than Cooper.
My skill set is knowing everyone and knowing everything about every project. And if you try and put me into a box and say that I can only work on this parameter of work, it's never going to work for me because my skill set is being everywhere.
He seems to be everywhere at once, and he knows everybody, but he didn't get there for free. He has this grinder mentality that echoes through everything he does, and he has a real eye for trends. He's super intentional about everything he does, and I also think his tweets would look great on inspirational posters. One thing Cooper does religiously is meditate, so I think I'll take a page out of his book here. Crypto prices are down, but my spirit is lifted. The Fed is 12 white boomers in a room controlling the global economy. Bear markets are transitory. My Twitter follower count is not a measure of my self-worth. I will buy the exact bottom. And finally, I'm thankful for our sponsors: ARBITRUM, UNISWAP, MATCHA, SLINGSHOT, Brave, and GEMINI. We recently dropped our new ads for the podcast, and I think they turned out great, so do me a solid and actually watch them. And finally, none of this is financial advice. ETH is risky, DeFi is risky, but we are headed west. It's the frontier. It's not for everyone, but we're glad you're with us on the Bankless journey. See you next time.